I'm bored, let's watch NERDROTIC. So this is a funny title. Woke is broke, and that's a good thing. All of these like anti-woke videos, we're still seeing them now, even though woke is dead, wokeness is gone, woke is dying. Like the reality is woke will never go away. It will never go away. What they consider to be woke will never go away. So they're selling things to their viewers that just isn't true. It just isn't true. So I'm curious what he says in this video. I haven't watched it yet, but somebody was like, you have to watch it. You have to react to it. So let's do this and see why it's a good thing that woke is broke, whatever the fuck that means.
Greetings, you over 1 million hellions and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. It's been over 9 months since that little election in November of 2024 tipped the scales and caused the great cultural shift. And for some, that might feel like it was just yesterday. And for others, it might feel like it was a decade.
You know what's really funny to me is before this, I don't know, Gary wasn't like too far into like the political spectrum. Like he did talk about politics from a social standpoint because it tied into the whole wokeness thing that he was doing on his channel. But ever since this happened, it's like I'm seeing more and more political content on some of his alt channels. And it's starting to like seep out. Like with Jeremy Geeks and Gamers, it was very obvious. Ryan Cannell, very obvious. A lot of the other creators, very obvious. But Gary, like doing this feels like the writing is kind of on the wall. Maybe he knows the next few years are going to be rough and he's going to have to court politics even more. Not totally sure.
And while 2025 has been a tumultuous year, one thing you can't say is it's been boring. Still, it might have made it difficult to see the forest through the trees. Some will say woke is dead or at the very least on bended knee. Others will say they're just circling the wagons and waiting to rebrand. And while that is debatable, and believe me, we'll get into that, it is undeniable over the last...
I mean, you would have to be very stupid. And I mean, very, like, this isn't hyperbolic. This isn't me sort of like playing it up. Like you would have to be really stupid to believe that just because Trump won the election, that all of a sudden everyone out here that believes in diversity, equity, inclusion, loving their fellow people, like you would have to be really stupid to believe that that would vanish and disappear, that people would just change everything about how they feel, when it comes to society because of this. That's really stupidity. Like I'm under no disillusion that all of the things that Trump represents that are negative in the world would vanish if Trump were no longer president. That would be stupid. Those things would still exist. So for him to act like, oh, well, we don't know. Will it ever come back? Will it rebrand? Like, it's never going away, man. It's never going away. And you could keep trying to sell that to your viewers, and they might want to believe it because they need like a pacifier or a baby bottle or something. But the reality is it's just not going away. It's people that are good people that care about other human beings are not going to change their opinions on that because you guys got a W. That's just... The world doesn't work that way, man.
Last 9 months, the woke industrial complex has gotten its ass kicked, thanks to the aforementioned cultural shift that was long overdue. And
well, I mean, that's what happens when you have like an authoritarian government. Okay, that's just the reality of it. When you have a government coming in, like just recently, Trump was like, oh, I want the Smithsonian to change history according to my point of view. Going after talk shows on TV, attacking individual athletes and actors and musicians. The shady stuff with Skydance, Paramount, CBS, all of that. When you have an authoritarian in charge, yes, they're going to try and stamp out anything that they don't like. That's why that is. This is completely opposite of like when we didn't have authoritarian government. What's happening now is the literal definition of stifling of free speech. Matter of fact, you were, for lack of a better term, the counterculture for a while. Now you're not. Now you're part of the authoritarian government. You're an extension of that. You're an extension of that propaganda. That is what your channels are now. So my community, the community that was trying to push for more equity for everyone and try to make sure everybody feels like they're included, they're a part of everything, we are now the counterculture. Welcome to that. Welcome to that world.
What evidence do we have of the woke industrial complex getting its ass kicked? You ask, dear viewer. Good question. I would like to thank the ex-Twitter handle of Sir Bill Holt for putting together this gratitude list.
Oh, that looks like an AI photo. Is that like a real person? It looks like AI shit.
CNN ratings are in a week-to-week death spiral along with MSNBC's. Rachel Maddow had to take a pay cut. Wolf Blitzer and Jake Tapper were denied raises. Joy Reid was fired. Jim Acosta is gone. Neil Cavuto is gone. Lester Holt is gone.
I want you guys to understand that this is propaganda. This is propaganda content. Full stop. 100%. He is echoing and sharing propaganda content to reinforce biases. He's not talking out against it. He's not saying, hey, look at this is bad, or like bringing up any sort of issues with it. He is literally sharing and reveling in propaganda content. And you know why this is? Because all of the stuff that he based his channel on, all the fandom stuff that he based his channel on, is no longer doing the things that he can scream about. And now he's shifting to political content. He's shifting over to this. He is grifting political propaganda content. That's what's happening here. If I'm just going to skip through this portion of it. I'm not going to platform any of this propaganda. All right, we got past the propaganda shit. Let's go.
Corporations in charge of our socials, information, and entertainment are in a bit of a conundrum right now, because it turns out these cowardly, risk-averse companies who made a conscious decision to let the extortion DEI wolf in the door, which alienated well over half of your potential.
Oh, you know what? We didn't get past the propaganda. It's still propaganda, you guys. I thought maybe he was going to like shift and go back into his normal stuff. No, this is still propaganda stuff, but it's no longer sharing it from another Twitter account. So now he's creating, he's not just sharing, now he's creating his own propaganda content. On my AMA video a couple weeks ago, I talked about the pipeline to radicalization. And if you guys remember, I talked about how it goes from like fandom culture, and it only takes a few steps over to get into like the political stuff, because they walk side by side. That's what these channels do. I couldn't have asked for a better example or representation of that with this NERDROTIC video, because a lot of channels are more obvious about their political leanings and they connect to it directly. Again, like Geeks and Gamers. That's a really good example of a channel that has never really hid how they feel about politics. They have an extension of that in several of their channels, and they've talked about it on live stream. So those are more obvious in what they are. NERDROTIC is still operating by that old format of trying to sort of like put the medicine in the candy so it doesn't taste bad when you're trying to give it to someone that needs it. That's really what he used to do, but now he's realizing that he doesn't have to do that anymore. The softening of this radicalization has happened already, and now it's easier for them to just travel back and forth between politics and fandom content without a lot of work. There's not a lot of effort required. Instead of watching this whole video, I'm only going to chime in on stuff that I think is important, because I don't want to spread political propaganda. So I'm going to chime in on key points in this video that I think are worth talking about. I'm not going to help Gary share political propaganda. That's not happening.
And socials realize they can't just get by with half of the potential customer base. They actually need all of them. Now, is this shift that once again probably should have happened a few years ago happening fast enough? No, but there are signs and portents.
And the portents say it is time.
Again, past time, but at least something is happening. And these aren't the radical changes we wanted, but I would say look more at the reactions than the actual actions. If you
Why is he doing this in his chair? What is it? Hold on. What is this bouncing thing he's doing? Y'all see that too? It's like a bouncing thing he's doing in his chair. What is this?
Time.
Again, past time, but at least something is happening. And these aren't the radical changes we wanted, but I would say look more at the reactions than the actual actions. If you
Okay, so I want to just I don't know why he's bouncing in his chair like that. That's weird. What do you? Is there a toy under you? So you notice there he said, look at the reactions instead of the actions. And these are not the changes he necessarily wanted or we wanted or however he phrased it, right? So what he's saying is that there is massive, massive government overreach into all facets of US life right now. There's tons of it. And I don't know if that's what he meant specifically, but I just want to point that out, that a lot of the issues we're seeing with things changing and shifting in culture are not organic. They are forced by an authoritarian government. That's why it's happening. So those are the changes we're seeing. And he's saying, look at the reactions instead of the actions. So ignore all of the awful things that our government is doing. Ignore that and focus on how the libs are crying. That's what he's saying. That is the translation for anybody out there that doesn't speak dog whistle. That is the translation. And you can argue with your mama in the comments if you have an issue with me translating dog whistled language on YouTube. I'm not stupid. I know what he means when he's saying this stuff. I get it. Again, we've already gone down this road. He is whistling to his base. Translation is, if the libs are crying, then we have won. That's what that translation is. And so for him, it doesn't matter if it's the government swooping in and doing this, as long as the end result is libs being upset. That's it. And this is him like sort of normalizing this to his viewers. He's normalizing authoritarianism because the end result is something that they will like. So ignore the road, ignore the path to this. All of the stuff that Trump and his administration is doing, ignore all of that, because we're going to get to see people crying because the movies that they like are getting canceled. TV shows they like are getting canceled. So all that authoritarianism stuff, fascist stuff, that's fine. You can ignore that. Just focus on the end result. This is crazy dangerous. I don't think I have to point out why it's crazy dangerous, but it is. And the fact that NERDROTIC is even doing this, we've reached another level with the kind of content that Gary is doing. If he's very comfortable pushing this propaganda stuff.
Speaking of late night ratings and white people being back in commercials, let's look at what's happened over the last couple of weeks. You all remember the great Sydney Sweeney controversy that somehow inexplicably is still going on today, where a jeans company did the unthinkable. They put an admittedly hot woman in a pair of jeans.
That is a straw man. That's a straw man. That's not why people were mad about it. And you know that. You're being absolutely 100% intellectually dishonest about this one. This is how you know this is propaganda. Again, this is another obvious red flag. The issue wasn't that Sydney Sweeney was in an ad for American Eagle. No one gives a fuck about that. No one cares about that. It was the phrasing about good genes. That was the issue that people had with it. Secondly, I didn't know anybody that was upset about this. I knew no one, and I'm in the leftist liberal spaces. No one was talking about this until I saw a post from people on the right saying that we were mad about it. I'm like, mad about what? I had to actually go and find it to see what it was. Whatever it was we were supposedly mad about. So this, again, false shit.
Now, I know there's some dudes out there who will think Sydney Sweeney is mid, and I'll just say it's okay to be gay.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
And to show how far the bar has been lowered, this is Sydney Sweeney putting her best assets in baggy jeans. As most of you know by now, since Sydney Sweeney's ad campaign for American Eagle started, their market cap has increased by $400 million.
And we already looked at this the other day. I talked about this already. Beyonce's Levi's ad drove an 8% surge in sales, while Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad saw a 9% drop in traffic after right-wing media made racist comparisons between the two. He is again misrepresenting and lying to push propaganda. That is what he's doing. Newsflash, American Eagle, even though it has the name American in it, is an international brand. And contrary to popular belief, I guess, here from the right-wing trolls online, fascism, authoritarianism, and white Christian nationalism is not hot in other countries. I know they want you to believe that, but it's not. So American Eagle pushing, even with a pun or whatever the fuck they want to call it, some sort of dog whistly racist shit, pushing that is enough for other people to be like, fuck that. There are lots of other jeans out there, like Levi's, that are a million times better than American Eagle, and you don't have to court racism to wear it and support it. So again, another propaganda red flag, misrepresentation, and lies.
I'm talking about American Eagle jeans on my channel. Is this a response to the worst forced error in marketing history, the Dylan Mulvaney fiasco? And the
marketing era, a less than 30-second TikTok clip. Less than 30 seconds. So for you, put this in perspective, the false equivalency here is that an ad campaign from American Eagle that courts racism is the equivalent of a 20-second TikTok sponsorship from a trans person. So a trans person just saying, hey, I'm sponsored by blah, 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 I'm showing off this can, whatever. That is the equivalent of pushing white racist replacement theory bullshit. All right.
Worst time and most ill-advised ad campaign in history, which just so happened to drop the same month the culture shifted, November 2024. That will be Jaguar. And the answer to that question is yes. And while Sydney Sweeney is plastered all over the sphere in Las
So the issue for them is not that they can't have ads that speak to their bigoted point of view. It's that they don't want diverse ads existing. So when they didn't want diverse ads existing, and we were saying, what? What are you talking about? Why? What's the issue? when they didn't want that stuff and they cried on it online, literally cried on it. Like their channel, honestly, think about it now, their channel is nothing but crying about stuff. Their channel is nothing but a trail of tears for anything and everything. So when they cry about advertisers not speaking to them, when that's what they do, that's quite okay. Because even when they're not the people in charge, when they're counterculture, it's okay to do that. But when ads come out that my community, progressive people, liberals, leftists, the left of center people, when stuff comes out like that and we speak out about it, oh, that's just coping and seething. It's a meltdown. It's such a weird double standard. Because not only are they not comparable, a trans person advertising stuff and people of color, people of diverse backgrounds advertising in an ad campaign is not the same thing as pushing some sort of white racist stuff. It's not this, they're not equally comparable. I don't know what to tell you. They're just not.
Vegas and New York Times Square, where fentanyl zombies are free to watch her all day. Not everybody is happy. And these scholars, members of...
He's gone all in on this Trump authoritarianism propaganda stuff, man. This is crazy. This is literally... When I clicked on this, I had no fucking clue it was this bad. This is bad. This isn't normal, like, NERDROTIC. I'm just going to say some buzzy stuff with a funny clip or whatever. He's got like the evil music playing in the background. He's pushing all kinds of lies and right-wing propaganda. This is crazy. I want to say this. When I watch these videos, whether it be, and you know what, matter of fact, we're going to wrap it up there. I don't want to, this is all propaganda stuff. When I watch these videos from these guys, I watch it knowing that they're going to lie about movies and TV shows. And even though it does cause harm to the communities and the fandoms, you can rebuttal that with facts and information, and it's going to get out there through to some people because the machine that pushes that really is just their pipeline. It's just their system. So their system is taking advantage of YouTube's lack of enforcement of their TOS. And we combat it here on YouTube the way we do, which is by calling it out, bringing attention to it, because YouTube doesn't actually do anything. So we have to be the ones to do that. It's much more difficult when you have NERDROTIC jumping on like the Benny Johnson, Matt Walsh train. Because what happens now is he's dragging all of those people in his community, everyone that has supported him on NERDROTIC, he's dragging them all into a fascist, authoritarianist, right-wing bubble. And things like the shit really hits the fan then. We're not talking about being mad about Disney and Gina Carano and stuff like that. We're talking about full on pulling his viewers into a propaganda bubble where he can do what he did with movies and TV shows, except with politics now, with social issues. This is absolutely disgusting, honestly. This is disgusting. Normally I would stick it out until the end, but we're like, 5 minutes into the video? And it's literally just fascist, authoritarianist propaganda. It's easily debunked stuff. Easily debunked. But I don't feel comfortable watching a 20-minute video, a propaganda video, allowing him to spread all of it's going to be a bunch of lies based on what I've seen in the first 5 minutes. That's it. I thought this was going to be about like more fictional entertainment stuff with him sort of chiming in about the late night talk show stuff or whatever, but it's not. It's just, it's political propaganda. It's just not. And I'm not going to sit through another 15 minutes for him to get to the point of that. It's not going to happen. We're reaching a time where these channels, remember when I said I didn't know what they were going to do? I wasn't sure what the next step for them was because Gary didn't seem to me like he was going to do political stuff like this. But I think the shift is happening. I think the writing's on the wall. Like they can't go after movies and TV shows forever. It's a well that's drying up. So now he's going to shift into politics. We'll have to keep an eye on this. If he shifts to politics, then I'm right. Yet again.